Welcome to Raise Sensation. I'm your host, Dan. And on this episode, I'm going to be looking at the reissue of the classic horror manga Cat-Eyed Boy by Kazuo Umezz. And you might be familiar with this artist's work. He's the fellow who did Drifting Classroom and Orochi, two other classics of the horror manga genre. This is my favorite. I'm really happy this has been reissued. It was published once before back in the early 80s, and for some reason I only got one volume, and so I've been dying to get the rest of it. So they're reissuing it all in two nice hardcovers, and so this is terrific. This is volume 1. It just came out. Volume 2 is due out later. And let's just flip through it real quick, okay? Now this series, it's kind of like, if you saw Orochi, there's a young woman in there. The protagonist is a girl with some kind of psychic powers. And, you know, it's these short horror tales that are really, some of them she gets involved in and some of them not so much. She's just an observer. But every once in a while, they'll have her burst onto the scene and save the day at the last minute. This little fellow, the Cat-Eyed Boy, a lot of times they use the words demon and monster, and only occasionally do they use the word yokai, but that's what there are yokai in the book, definitely, and that's what it's kind of implied he might be, I think. But this little guy is feared by humans because he doesn't look human, and he's got, but he likes to help humans. He helps them out when there's trouble of a monster sort. And as you might know, I love monsters. I love all the crazy creatures in here and all the weird things that happen. Like I said, there's a lot of things in here that are not, at first glance, don't look like yokai. There's like Frankenstein monster kind of things, very Western influenced type of creatures and monsters and stuff. And there's all kinds of really cool ones. So I'm just gonna flip through it really quick and give you an idea. There's our little cat-eyed boy creeping around. There he is facing off against various creatures that he'll face throughout this book. Dun, dun, dun. Cat-Eyed Boy. Some of these things, all these stories did not run between 1967 and 68, just a certain series. There's our introduction to him, hiding in a mansion. It's been 10 days since I started living in the attic of this mansion. The residents don't have a clue that I'm here. Look at these eyes. I can see in pitch black darkness. How can I live in such a dimly lit place, you ask? My name is Cat-Eyed Boy. Wherever I appear, something frightening happens. It must be that terror summons me. I hope nothing happens in this mansion. And of course it does. I mean, why would we be here? So now let's just look at some of this. Like here is this is a mad scientist tale. There's these first couple of story chapters have to do with a mad scientist who's doing taking a brain and replacing it into other bodies and creating creatures and stuff. Pretty cool stuff. Gruesome. A little boy is forced to take his father's corpse, is asking for raw meat to be brought to him in his coffin. Some pretty creepy stuff. The Cat-Eyed Boy he's looking through a hole in the floor, in the ceiling, and looking down. And there's all kinds of cool stuff. Like there's this this cool looking creature. It catches fire and goes running out of the house on fire. And look graphical. Look at that. That's great stuff there. Great action. Cat-Eyed Boy is getting bitten by this monster here. And there's a creature that's being kept locked up. But this is the the mad scientist wants to transplant this guy's brain into a decent body. And at first he wants to use Cat-Eyed Boy's body. But this guy, look at the way this guy looks. And he's being picky and saying like, ugh, no. Why would I want to look like a weird looking kid? This mad scientist is like, well, what is it? Rip Taylor? Is that the guy who used to throw confetti and stuff? But anyway, so yeah, so there's these kind of monsters. I'm just gonna flip through there. There's some of the yokai type monsters he fights at one point. This monster comes and possesses this little boy, and look at that face. Ugh. There, a statue comes to life and threatens. And there's an effigy has been hung. It's only a doll, but later on, he finds the real thing, this witch-looking thing hanging from a ceiling. Here, his shadow attacks him. Now, the Cat-Eyed Boy does not have great powers to come in and do magic like Orochi does, but he is quite resilient. Like this, his shadow, when it turns evil, stabs him in the back, but he laughs it off, even though, as we see, he is bleeding, he is hurt, but so he's not indestructible or anything. And thought that was a great image. So, and here's a great thing where he keeps seeing his image in water puddles around, and he's turning in the image. He's turning into a monster. And so this is volume 1. There's going to be 2 volumes. If you're into monsters, if you're into great looking black and white art and early horror manga, I definitely think you should check this book out. Okay? Have a good evening.